following podcast may contain some adult language. You've been warned.
Those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all Nerds International. With the hyphen.
Welcome to Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast. We interrupt your regularly scheduled gaming podcast to bring you the following special NBN breaking news bulletin. Human First activists have staged a massive rally at a local game store to protest the release of a highly anticipated and controversial book from FFG, Android, Shadow of the Beanstalk. NBN freelance reporter Jimmifett is on the scene now, and here in the studio, I am Tony Fanning, and with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Chris Holmes. How you doing, Chris?
I love lamp. No, hey guys, how you guys doing today? We're doing great. I don't have the voice that you do for this. I'm hoping you could keep that voice for the entire show.
No. I stumbled over words enough.
Yeah. I'm doing good, though I do have to tell you about my food adventures this weekend, but first, I want to bring our freelance reporter in here, Jimmifett. Jim Partin We, have him on the show. How you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Thanks. I'm doing pretty good. The scene out here is crazy. There is cats and dogs on fire running everywhere. It's a madhouse.
Well, as long as they're not living together, that's fine. Right. So Jim, the first time you've been to the show, I've got to ask you, what did you cut your role-playing baby teeth on, man? What started you off?
It was GURPS 3rd edition basic set back when I was 12 years old, I think.
Nice. Yeah, I started when I was 13.
Way back like 3 years ago.
Yeah, so like 3 years ago. Yeah, he's got that baby face, doesn't he? Well, cool GURPS, but 3rd edition. Yeah, man, I played GURPS. I remember playing GURPS. That was a fun system.
I never played it.
Yeah, it's my hardcover book. I still have it. It's a little tattered, but still pretty decent.
And then from there, you've done probably every edition of D&D, like everybody else, maybe. Potentially.
I started actually in 3rd edition when they did the Heroes of Battle, when they showed that elves could be special forces troops. I'm like, that looks cool. I'll give that a shot.
Nice. Yeah, so you've played a lot of different systems, haven't you?
Yep.
Cool.
Now, did you have some previous experience with Android prior to them announcing the book?
Yeah, I played a bunch of Netrunner.
The card game?
Absolutely. Yeah. Very fun.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I always kept walking by it in the store, and I was like, I'm going to buy in on that someday. And then, I don't know, I kept hearing rumors that FFG was going to lose the license, and I chose not to, and lo and behold.
Yeah, now I got to finish my collection, get everything I missed.
Uh-oh. Well then, okay, so adventures in cooking the lambus bread for thought. Okay, so yesterday, I actually bought a second air fryer, believe it or not.
What?
Yes, because I had to cook a shit ton of wings for my gaming group last night. And had a couple of, had like 15 marinated in like the smoky mesquite, another 15 marinating in honey, teriyaki, and then I cooked like another 50 wings that are plain, but I had like some sauces out so that they could toss them in, and yeah, man, we had fun.
Did you add an extra difficulty for 2 fryer cooking?
Dude, it was easy. It was awesome. And it was coordinated, so I got a boost die.
Nice.
Right, Stefan? Yeah, they gave me a boost die. And then this morning, which I have to shout out, I have to give my buddy Dan Olson 50 pieces of rice 50 pieces of the shrimp that he cut up for us. We went to Benihana, which is a Japanese steakhouse, teppanyaki. You know how they do the little show in front of you. It was his birthday yesterday, and he ended up going there an hour beforehand and paid them. Hey, I want to do this for my friends. So he did it in front of us. It was so awesome. It was so much fun.
Oh, he learned how to do it?
Yeah, he did it. They trained him for like an hour, and then he made his own lunch. And then he had to do it for 8 people. So cooking
That's
one was
really
easy.
Cool.
Yes, that was really cool. So hats off to you, buddy. Okay, now, what everybody is here for. The only news that we have is that I think it's floating out there that the PDF potentially for the Android setting is coming out March 5th. And I hope it comes out for the Worlds of Android book, too. I hope they do both.
I don't think they will, though.
You know, why not? Because they would have already, you think?
Yeah, I think Worlds of Android is a coffee table reading book. And honestly, I think it's not a necessity for running the game. And I think the more interest they have in the game, the more copies of the hardcover book they'll sell.
Well,
that's just
that. But, man, it'd be so much easier for me to read it on my tablet. Other than the shiny paper that this is on. So, yeah, so that's the news, and we don't have any listener feedback this week, right, Tony? We're just going to get into this, aren't we?
Damn Skippy. We have had some listener feedback, just little things, though, telling us we're doing a crap job. No, just kidding. We've had a couple people come on and say they love the show. New listeners that have chimed in on either YouTube or on Facebook to say they love the show. Awesome. And it's just, I don't want to sit and toot my horn all day. So I thank you folks who are coming on and saying such things. We love it that you guys listen. Yep. We love it that you love the show.
Yep, me too. Yes, we do. Ditto. All right. So let's get into our first segment. Let's go hand out some 50 pieces of awesome to somebody.
Welcome to 50 Pieces of Awesome. This is where Chris goes out on the internet, the vast network that it is, and looks all over the place for something cool to share with me and you, and then we award said person 50 pieces of awesome.
Yeah, man, I had to make a run out on the network out there. And what I did is, you know what? I found the Ghostbusters setting.
Oh, sweet.
Antonio Fernandez, a.k.a. Fern Ninja, on the forums, it would seem.
I was so glad that said Fern Ninja, because the first time I read it, I thought it said Femininja.
Femininja? Yeah, it's Fern Ninja.
And I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. I'm just an idiot.
Yeah, and this is cool, because my buddy, Jordan Peacock, he created a Ghostbusters thing for Savage Worlds, which was awesome. And looking at this, it's like, yeah, we can run it. You can run Ghostbusters in Genesys easily enough. And what they've added was, goes through a few tropes, like what's considered canon, comedy, and horror together, of course. But he's added, the ghost archetype. You could play ghost. You could play, the slime. You could slime people if you want.
I can play Slimer?
You can play Slimer if you want, man.
That's cool.
It's pretty neat. And then you can play Psychic. And of course, all the other human archetypes are available. And some of the added some new rules, quote unquote. A couple of skills. I think it's called Fringe Tech. Some thoughts on running horror comedy, which is an interesting read. But then there's like new rules for silly tech. So basically, doesn't matter if it could happen in real life. Just let them do it. Like, the Statue of Liberty walking down New York City. Like in the movie. Just let them do it, right? And that's a great attitude to take. And then there's the jokes rule. Where if somebody makes a really good joke and everybody keeps laughing up at the table, flip a story point to their side. Or let them heal 5 strain if they make a discipline check or something like that, just to kind of keep the jokes flowing and keep it going. I don't know. What do you guys think of that? That's kind of neat.
That's a neat little, like, it's almost like a house rule. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and the Ghostbusters, you're not necessarily supposed to be too serious. If you're playing a serious Ghostbusters game, play Call of Cthulhu or something, right?
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Mm-hmm. And, god damn it, we have a proton pack. We have stats for proton pack. That's it.
Yep.
Say no more.
Yeah, I really like the layout that he did here with the opening of the thing, where he talks about the setting rules to be used in here. Mm-hmm. Kind of, it gives you that. I like that. That's kind of, again, that's reminds me of Savage Worlds. I'm sorry to say it, but what rules specific to the setting that you want to focus on, and
themes,
I like that.
And themes,
themes.
The silly
themes and rules. Yeah,
and this capture stream is it's a neat rule. Let me read it. So for the proton packs, of course, don't cross a stream. A result of a despair will do bad stuff. But anyways, there's another thing called capture stream. When damage from the proton pack would exceed the ghost strain threshold, trigger the ensnare quality as an immediate action. Now, not only could you use... That's a neat concept. Hitting somebody's strain threshold to trigger an ability on your weapon. That's interesting to me.
Yeah.
I like that. In addition to, because it uses ensnare, that also gives the ghost the opportunity to break free of the capture beam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Or be put into the thing.
Well, that's why you need multiples.
Yep, and not... they even have rules for sliming stuff. I'll let y'all read it yourselves. But there's a sidebar. Sliming stuff. And then, of course, here's another mic drop moment. He's statted out Ecto 1. The freaking car.
Nice.
And it's got an ability called Obnoxious. Always activates with the siren on, adding 3 threat to any attempt to stealth while driving.
Now, does it have its fuel consumption rated in gallons to miles?
It should.
I don't think it has fuel consumption in it at all.
Yep.
But I would definitely make anyone rolling 4 threat or a despair run out of gas.
That's right. But the thing is, when your siren is active, your max speed is increased to 4 from 3, which is great.
Nice.
You want to go faster? Turn on your siren. Boom. Now you're going faster. That's just
Hey, let's run some red lights.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
great.
And then so this is about 29 pages long, and there are 11 pages of adversaries in here.
Yeah.
Like a third of the thing is friggin' adversaries, which is great.
My favorite is the bedeviled small object.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, I love it.
I see it.
The picture is the apple with the freaking tongue, and that's great.
Yep. And that is so that's what we want to award 50 Pieces of Awesome for. And I'd also like to give an honorable mention to Jared DW, who created a character sheet for this and compiled Fur Ninja's work into a format. He did the change the format a little bit, but I think he might have left out some things, maybe on purpose. I'm not sure. But I'm going to put links to both of these threads, the Google Drive for Jared W, and then the thread that Antonio made up on the community, FFG community up there, so you guys can find it.
I got to say, I really love this document. Yeah. I was working on a Ghostbusters fantasy for a game I'm getting ready to run at NIPCON 3, and I found this document right in the nick of time. It's like, oh, such good stuff in here.
Oh, sweet.
That's great.
Oh, good. Alrighty then. Anything else to add, guys?
Well, I would add that I noticed that they only have 2 knowledges, academics and lore. And they've changed lore in this setting to be basically the supernatural stuff, which I thought was interesting.
It is. Keeping it simple.
Right? Yeah, it's real simple, to just 2 simple knowledge skills. Very, I was thinking about the characters from the original Ghostbusters movie, and you had, the academically smart, but you also, and then you had like Winston, who was street smart. Well, wouldn't there be a knowledge for him? And then I'm thinking, no, he just has streetwise.
Streetwise, exactly. Now, they did add a skill called Fringe Tech, which would be more of your mechanic, more of like an alchemy substitute kind of thing, right? So for this, you're creating stuff with it, sci-fi level tech
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Well done.
Well, for Ninja, Antonio, we award you 50 pieces of awesome. Don't spend them all in one place.
Oh, sorry, I tried to do Ecto one. All right, let's move on, man. Let's get into the meat of this thing.
Heck yeah.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Books of Genesis. Okay.
And now there's 3.
Now there's 3. Now there's 3 of us. Yay!
Well, 3 people, 3 books.
That's right. Oh, yeah, 3. Yeah. So we've got there is 3 books of Genesis, and 3 of us to talk about it. We brought Jim on here because he's been running Tony 357 and Zszree through some Realms of Tyrnoth Online, an Android setting for Genesis. And we're going to be having a roundtable discussion about this nice shiny book we have in front of us. So, do we want to do overall impressions first, or do we just want to get into our favorite things?
No, we can do overall.
Do an overall?
Yeah.
Jim.
So let's start with Jim.
Yeah, what do you think, man? Overall impression.
I really, really like the book itself. The chapter on running is very, very good. I love how much world setting information is in this book.
Yes.
It's like the perfect amount, isn't it? It's like not too much, not too little.
Hey, I'll tell you, there is this sentence on page 141, second column. This first sentence. The purpose of this chapter, I'm in chapter 4 where it starts talking about New Angeles and Highland. The purpose of this chapter is to enrich, not restrict, adventure building. Dude, that right there just says it all with this. They're just throwing tidbits in there, not restricting you. Just, man, my juices were flowing.
Absolutely.
Thinking of that. Yeah.
I also love how they put all the adversaries together in one spot.
Oh, yes.
That made it so easy to look up stuff back and forth.
Yeah, that's true. In Tyrnoth, didn't they? They did jump around, didn't they? Like, gave it here's a section, which I guess for that it kind of made sense. But you have to think about, where would this guy be from? Is this a Blasted Lands creature in that case? Yeah.
Yeah, that made sense in Tyrnoth.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, because the creatures are more regional, whereas here, I mean, it's one big blending pot, so you want to put all your adversaries in one spot.
And there's a shit ton of them.
Yeah.
Holy crap. How many pages?
This is the first book they came out with that they gave us adversary cards the same day we got them. Got the book.
Yeah, so there's 21 pages of adversaries. And they've got probably at least 2 or 3 on a page. And, there's a lot of good stuff.
And not only that, the cards have a couple adversaries that aren't even in the book.
Really? I did not notice that. I haven't looked through all my cards.
The couple of the adversaries that are in the book are mixed into the story sections. It's just an example adversary, like the character from the novel or the novella that came out,
Okay.
Oh, what's his name? The android cop. Drawing a total blank as to his name right at the moment, but he's in the Chicana district section.
Cool. All right. So, Jim, any more overall impressions from the book you got?
No, I think that does it. It's
All right.
a great book.
How about you, Chris?
Well, my overall impression is, Cocktails and Dreams on the frickin' cover. That was one of the first things I noticed. And then you pointed out the Tropicana, which is right across the street from it. If all of you youngsters out there, there's an actor named Tom Cruise. Remember that guy that we talked about a couple episodes ago? That was like his restaurant. And FFG, if somebody's there listening and you put it in there, it's kind of neat. That actually just stood out. And more than anything, just the art is so evocative for me. And again, I will double say the running chapter 3, or I think something like that, on the network. Really cool. Expanded a little bit. I love what they did. I love the concept of the ice and icebreakers. Pretty sweet. I like that a lot. And I read the chapter on the background. Now I want to go open up my Worlds of Android book and just plow through that now again. Not again. I only read a little bit of it, but now I'm ready to read it all. And just the sheer amount of information they put and adventure hooks they have in Chapter 4.
That was what I was going to say. That's probably my favorite piece in the book is the adventure stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they
overall, I'm just the hooks. I love it. I love it when you give you a little bit of GM spice like that.
Yeah, and of the 54 pages this book is, 76 is Chapter 4. You have you have 12 districts. They have at least 3 locations each. 3 to 5 points of interest within each location. And most have an NPC nemesis statted out in each chapter. And then just inside they have 2 to 6 NPC blurbs per location inside of each district. So I mean, you're talking well over 100, 150, maybe pushing 200 adventure hooks in that chapter alone.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. For me, okay. I've been a huge fan of the cyberpunk genre for decades. I used to play Cyberpunk 2020 when it was the go-to game for my game group for several years. This scratches that itch big time. It's got that same feel. It's got that same. I mean, I look at it, I see all the same evocative images, only in color that whereas back then, all the role-playing books, everything was printed in black and white. The cover is beautiful. If you walk up to it in the store, now in my game store, they've got Genesys kind of shoved in. You got Star Wars stuff on one side. They got some Call of Cthulhu over here. And in the middle of this shelf, they've got this Android book sitting there. Your eyes, just after seeing all the Star Wars stuff there forever, you walk by it, your eyes are immediately drawn to it. I thought, as soon as I saw it, I stopped and looked. I already had my copy in my hand, and I still stopped and looked at it on the shelf.
That's fun.
It's beautiful. To me, I think it's the best looking book they've done so far as the trade dress. And honestly, the cover art is leaps and bounds better than the other 2 books. I like that it's the same size as the core rulebook, exactly 254 pages.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
So to me, this is my favorite of the 3 books thus far.
Cool.
Overall,
very cool. So you mentioned going into a gaming store and seeing a role-playing book, and I'm actually going to throw out one of my biggest cons and negatives I have about this book. When I go and I see a new role-playing game or setting or whatever, I open up the book, I look at the table of contents, and then Then the next thing that I do is I find the character sheet, and I look at the character sheet, and you could know so much, learn so much about the system by just looking at the character sheet. They do not have one in here. They don't even have information in the book when they start telling you how to roll up a character of how to find a character sheet either. What the fuck, you guys? Why the hell didn't you put that in there?
Yeah, you made Terranoth 260 pages, so don't tell us you didn't have the page count.
In Terranoth,
you could have put in three more pages.
Yeah, in Terranoth it says, "Hey, go to our website, go download the character sheet." Why didn't you put it in here? That's really my that was a big negative for me on this.
I haven't finished going through it. I haven't finished going through it. Does it have information on Mars? Or just Luna?
Nope, just Luna. Just Heinlein. Mars
no information on Mars.
They can put one page for the character sheet and a few pages for Mars, and there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what they did for Luna, they had probably about 8 pages, just because.
See, I would have been happy. Here's my one complaint.
Sure.
The gear section. The gear section is so tiny. I thought for being a gear-driven setting that we'd see more gear. I did.
What kind of gear? Guns or gear like tech gear?
Tech gear, cybernetics, G-mods. I mean, the cybernetics and G-mods are one table together, and it's... I'm sorry, but they had more cybernetics in Star Wars in the first book, in Edge of the Empire, than they do in here. And this is a big chunk of this setting. It's a cyberpunk setting. It's in the name.
Yeah, that's true.
Some cyberware.
It is.
That's my only real complaint. I mean, being that we're all the digital generation, it does say right in the front of the book that you can go to FFG's website, and it gives you the website for free downloads and answers to rule queries and things like that. So free downloads indicates you can go there and get the character sheet.
Yeah.
So I'm not like, that wasn't really a big bitch for me. The big one, though, was that because I was expecting a lot more cyberware. Gotcha. And that's big for me, is like I opened it up and I saw, it was like 8 pieces of cyberware and 8 G-mods, and that's it. And I'm just like, well, that's anticlimactic.
Well, then, everybody, you listening to Tony out there at FFG, put out another book.
Yeah,
for cyberware.
I'd love another book with gear for this whole setting.
And put a character sheet in it.
Yeah,
no,
so
just kidding.
Yeah, you got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 pieces of gear of cyberware.
I do have this listed on one of my cons, but this is really a nitpick. But it kind of goes into the you folks there designing the black pages as a black background. Page 127 and page 128. You frickin' put your dots, you put your frickin' bullets as dark text. And you can't see them. You could barely see them. So you need if they were white, like the 1, 2, 3. So they numbered. So on page 127, they have the example system, right? 1, 2, 3 should be matching the paragraphs down at the bottom. If you look, the numbers are there. It's black text on black text.
I don't even notice that now.
So there's that, and then on page 28, they did it again. So. That's just a nit for me. But I was trying to match up. Oh, they have 1, 2, 3, and I was looking. Well, where's 1? Where's 2? Where's 3? Because to me that means okay, you numbered something up there. You're going to explain it to me somewhere else, which is down here. So you just kind of had to count the.
Yeah, I'm sure younger people have no problem reading this. It's us old guys.
Oh, I'm sorry, but no, they're there. I'm looking at the fucking book. No, they're there. You got like a gray. Yeah, no, it's wrong. You guys.
Yeah, no, it should.
But no, that's just a nitpick.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there's a couple of little things like that, little nitpicks here and there, but nothing. I mean, nothing that was a deal breaker. Like I said, this honestly, I think, is their most beautiful book.
Yeah, it is. All right.
So let's get into what we really like about this book. Unless, Jim, you have a complaint.
Yeah, do you have a complaint, Jim?
Nothing more than any nitpick. I mean, I'm loving this book.
Cool.
Okay.
Absolutely loving it.
All right. So
I'm gonna call an audible, Chris. I know I have it listed last as our bullet points in our show notes, but I really think art should be our first thing we talk about. You got a favorite art piece, Jim?
Let me see. I saw one I liked.
Mine. I'll
Yeah,
talk
go
about
ahead.
mine.
Yeah,
On page 12,
Page 12, okay.
you've got a bioroid hiding from private security as they're stalking through the streets.
Oh.
And just that the street view, her, pulling the hood up to hide. She's obviously an emancipated bioroid from the look of her.
Yep.
Just it's a beautiful piece. That's my personal favorite. Yeah.
That says a lot. Yep. You know
So
mine is the cover.
and then
just
I kind of
gorgeous.
like page 15 also, where you've got this guy on. It looks like he's on Mars.
Yeah, looks like it.
Maybe he's just out in some blasted place on the moon or whatever, but he's got a freaking cyber hound companion there. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is cool.
I just that's cool. That gives it that otherworldly feel. The Luna, hey, there's other worlds besides Earth.
Yeah,
and here you see it. I love that.
My favorites, I want to say it's the artwork for the Midway Station as well as the Challenger Planetoid.
Oh,
those are both great pieces of art. But
yes.
on smaller scale, all the 3D art for the gear just looks phenomenal.
Oh, the drawings.
The black and white outline weapon drawings. That was my second one, by the way. Yeah, great minds think alike there, Jim.
Yeah, I do love that.
Yeah, I like those.
I always want to know what my gun looks like.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know what their gear looks like, and having pictures in the gear section always I want that piece of gear because it looks cool. Like the spinal modem on 106. That just looks cool.
Yep. Yeah, the black and white. Well, you don't necessarily call them like black and white because it's like teal and white and black.
They're like a digital blueprint.
Yeah, digital blueprints. They're sweet.
Yeah. And then if I was to say an overall, like, one other one that I really enjoy, and that this is the one that I would show to people to give them an idea of what the setting is about, and they picked a perfect piece for it. It's right at the beginning of the book, page 4 and 5, Welcome to the Shadow of the Beanstalk. If I wanted to introduce a player to this game, I would open it to this page and I'd say, read this and look at that art. And you get right here, this evokes what the setting is all about. With the art, with the blurb that's there beside it. Perfect.
Yeah. I could see.
I got to give a shout out
being around
to putting live nudes on the cover.
That is awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, it's there.
I gotta pull my glasses down to the edge of my nose to see it, but it's there.
It is there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it is. So there's a picture. So there's a piece of art in here that really says all you need to know about humans and bioroids. Sorry. And that's on page 142. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Lower left, you've got two kids. Looks like they're walking around in a mall. They're playing with stuff, and they have their bioroid servant behind them carrying all their shit. That's pretty much.
That's one of the Jeeves line, bioroid butlers.
The Jeeves, okay, yeah. I mean, it's really all you need to think about when you're thinking about, how humans what humans think of bioroids. They're just there,
Yep.
Now these kids look like Misties out of the 80s.
Yeah, they do.
Well, fashions are coming back around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. The art in the whole book. I mean, again, it all comes from the card game, which they had a ton of good art for the card game.
Yeah.
And another piece that I absolutely love. I'm sorry, I'm gonna because I finally found it. It was the one I was trying to look up earlier. 218. Opening of the adversary section.
Oh yeah, the her sitting in the chair.
Yeah, with the holographic controls.
The runner just getting ready to kind of hop into the net, right?
Right.
That's cool. I like that one too.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
So, all right. Well,
okay, well, that's art. Let's see, you have another one there, Jim, that you wanted to shout out? Other than all of it?
I like the expression on the guy's face on page 242.
242, okay.
Let's look.
Oh, shit, yep. You talking about the guy? You talking about the runner that is would that be like a guy?
Oh, I'm sure he's probably a corporate sysops, and behind him would be his bosses.
Yep.
Making him look nervous.
Yep, he's nervous. He's like, "Oh shit, I better not fuck this up."
Oh crap!
Oh shit, I just fucked this up.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
All right, so. As with Genesys Core and with Terranoth, we got some new archetypes.
Yup.
In fact, we kind of got, the human was all kind of boiled down to one.
Yeah, the natural.
Really, two, if you count the loonies. So we have, starting on page 24, we have the archetype section where it's in the character building section. Yep. You have your natural, your bioroid, your clone, cyborg, your Gmod, and your loony. Now we had a question from Daryl. Daryl Carcier. He said to us, well, how would you stat out a Martian? And honestly, I would probably just use the loony template.
I don't think I would. I think I would go with a human. I would go with a laborer, maybe even a human, because Mars has a higher. I don't know. You're right. Maybe loony is it. Sorry, I think of the Martians in The Expanse, and they're not taller, bigger. They're bulkier. They're more athletics. More athletic. It's a gravity thing.
Mm-hmm.
There,
oh.
You know.
Yeah. So you think you maybe would make a stat block for them, or would you choose, say, the laborer out of the core rulebook?
I would probably do the laborer out of the core rulebook, maybe. That's what I would think. And then I think the laborer gets the hardiness or something. Here, let me open it up real quick.
No problem.
What do you think?
No, I think
you would do the loony.
I thought the loony was a good start.
Yep.
Because of not because of the. I would do my own stat block, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Not because of the ability scores, but because of the more along the lines of the special abilities. The 0G adept, growing up on Mars, they they're a little bit more apt to know. But I guess Mars has. I feel like
gravity, so the laborer, so the starting skills would be a rank in athletics, and then they're tough as nails, where they can reduce a crit.
So I've got it pulled up in front of me. Lunar gravity is 16% of Earth's. Mars gravity is only 38% of Earth. So I think it's halfway between human and loony somewhere.
Yeah, I think you could do either, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're not... Oh, it's a tough one. Me personally, because they say that most of the Gmods come from off-world, mostly they happen... I would play any archetype and just call him a Martian. That's what I would do.
Yeah, that's true. You probably could.
Whether you're a cyborg, a Gmod, a bioroid, clone, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, thanks, Daryl.
Yeah, thanks, Daryl, for the question. And hey, what archetypes called out to you guys the most? What do you guys like the most?
Cyborg and Gmod.
Yeah.
Those are my two faves. I like the way they did them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like them as well.
Yeah, I like the cyborg and the loony. I liked how they did the loony with the, they're taller, skinnier, more athletic pilots types.
we've seen the like of the Bioroid before. Definitely evokes the droid from Star Wars, or in our Clockwork from our setting that we were building. It definitely does that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just like the abilities that mirror each other of the Cyborg and the Gmod.
Cool. I like,
especially the Gmod. I don't know why that one just called to me. Maybe because I didn't have that in previous games. I've had the Cyborg,
okay,
but
yeah,
the genetically modified human. Where you can have. You could use your Gmods if you're using them as part of a skill. You can spend a story point to add success equal to your resilience rating. That's cool.
Yep. And
then you start with one Gmod that costs a total of 1,000 credits or less. Great. Love it.
That's kind of the same thing for the Cyborg. You can start off with a cybernetic ability with 1,000 or less. You don't have to reduce your strain threshold for that first one, which is cool.
Yeah, and I really like their ability, too. The adjusted to cybernetics. Once per session is an out of turn, incidentally, you may spend a story point to have your character heal strain equal to the number of cybernetics they have.
And
that's cool.
You're gonna see a lot more talents and abilities related to strain, because after reading the GM section, they very much encourage the structured social encounters instead of combat. Well, I mean, you can always do combat, right? But the social...
you're not playing in a setting where you can just walk out your back door and start hacking up monsters.
Nope. Which is always nice to do.
This is a setting where there's a semi-civilized society that you have to be a part of, so you have to. And the social aspect of that, interacting with the people around you, is a big thing.
Yeah. Or lack thereof, if you just go back onto the net. And kind of like what we do in real life here.
You still got to deal with people on the net.
Yeah, I still got to deal with you chuckleheads on the net, right?
It's still considered socializing. If you're a jerk on the net, people are going to shun you just as well as they are in public.
Absolutely. All right.
So
I guess next let's get into so we have our archetype. Now let's talk about the careers that we've got here. Hey Jim, do you want to go through these? Tell us what have they selected for us for careers?
Sure thing. Let me pull it up real quick.
32.
All right, we got.
Putting our guest on the
academic. We got the academic. We've got the bounty hunter. Both very nice. The con artist. So this is definitely going to be your social character. I really, really like that.
Yeah.
You got your courier. Very, very good. I like that they included parkour for her. Investigator. This is going to be your other side of the social.
Yep.
You have your Risty, who's probably going to be almost entirely social, just throwing his money around at everything.
Yep.
You got your roughneck.
Baby giraffe.
Rico's roughnecks.
You got next up, you got your typical runner.
Yep, and runners are your slicers, hackers, computer people, if you're not familiar with the Android terminology.
Well, probably they really wanted to call it net runner, but they lost the ability to do it.
Yeah. But they're going to be running on the network.
Next up, you got the soldier, and I like how they cover that there's actually been several worlds wars, from Luna to Mars and everything in between, and so there's lots of places your soldiers can come from.
Yep.
And then you got techs, who aren't runners themselves, but you're inventors and fixers of all the technology going on.
I think this is the only one that actually has medicine as a career skill as well. I think. Let me look. Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, your academic.
Yep, your academic
does.
Yep.
So that would be where your healers are. But your tech is, you could build a tech that's all about being a cyber doc or a Gmodder.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I really, personally, if I were to pick a favorite, I absolutely love the Courier.
Okay. Why? Why the Courier?
Again, I go back to Cyberpunk 2020, which to me was a wonderful setting. And that was one of the classes that was not available. It was something that you see in a lot of cyberpunk literature. Okay. And then you read the book, you read about Johnny Mnemonic, and he's a pneumatic courier. And
yep.
They're not pneumatic. The term I'm searching for is mnemonic. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, he's not steam powered or hydraulic powered.
Pneumatic, yeah.
Is mnemonic courier. Yeah, no. And then this one, it just takes that. I could see. Because we see it now. We see Amazon, we see FedEx, we see UPS. They're talking about going to drone deliveries. But you think about it, in the world of Android, where everybody gets everything delivered, the courier is the blood of their society.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, you got runners hacking everything that isn't nailed down on the net, and you want to get some secured information from one place to another. You want a human runner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you don't want to put it out there on the net. You send it over the net, you may lose it.
Yeah, you might. Which, by the way, the Runner was one of my two favorite careers because I'm a dorky tech dude, and so Zszree in Jim's game. I don't know. It just speaks to me. I must say, the Runner does. I mean, you got hacking, sysops. I think they really have a nice. I think they really hit it with the skills that they picked. Hacking, sysops, cool, deception, knowledge of the net, perception, skullduggery, and streetwise. What more do you need? Really?
Right.
I mean, maybe mechanics, but not so much.
I think a great addition to this book over the last two books is putting in the suggested talents.
That was something I was going to bring up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that. Here's talents that will help this character. That's right. So for those new players who are confused as to what talents they should take, and they're kind of sitting there with analysis paralysis because there's so many out there.
Right.
Hey, here's a list of suggested one. Give you an idea where to take your character.
Love it. and for the runner here, they suggest Disenfranchisco,
man.
That one, man. The knack for it, which you'd probably pick, one of the computer skills for that. Net search, code slinger, net hunter, and then your distinctive hacking style.
There are so many runner talents. It's ridiculous.
I know, isn't there, though? What other careers spoke to you guys? I have another one.
What's your fave, Jim?
Yeah.
I like both the con artist and the investigator. Normally, I'm all about the run, gun, and doing the hacking, but these really stood out for me for the social aspect of everything.
Yeah, I like the fact that the con artist, he's supposed to be like a thief, but they have a good mix of all skills. They have some good utility skills. They've got some good combat skills. They've got some good social skills. They've got to cross they cover all their bases. And likewise, the investigator, I think, does the same thing.
Yeah. Yep. How about you, Tony?
Con artist was my second favorite. Courier and con artist. I love them both. Yeah.
I liked bounty hunter for some reason.
I went right to that page when you said you had a favorite.
I did. I like it. It's kind of cool. Especially because they've got that, that takedown ability to talent. You could put in there. So you get brawl, you get your coercion, discipline, you get driving, a melee skill, resilience, and of course, streetwise, so you could find your target and whatever. I don't know. It just looked cool.
I like it.
To me, in that way. Alrighty then. So what do we want to do next?
Well, the next section would be talents.
Okay. Yeah, since we mentioned those.
So you want to go over that a little briefly? Yeah. We should probably mention they added some new skills first.
Let's do that.
So knowledge skills-wise, they added 3 new. So we have 3 knowledge skills to the setting. And again, they did another master skill list for the Android setting, which tells you all the skills for the setting.
Which I like.
That's on page 42. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
It also, calls out where they're at in the core rule book and where they're at in Shadow of the Beanstalk.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, we're just 3 simple knowledge skills. Like we're back to what I said, 3 to 5. Even 2 for Ghostbusters earlier was not a bad. You don't want to keep it. You don't want to. I mean, they could have had knowledges out the butthole. They could have had knowledge Mars. They could have had, knowledge space. They could have had all kinds of stuff. But keeping it simple, we have 3. What are they, Chris?
We have the first one is science, and these would be ones calling like formulas. If you want to recall formulas for like drugs or chemicals, remember the name of a lunar crater. Those kinds of
remembering the gravity on Earth versus Luna versus Mars,
which you could use the other which I think what Jim used was the other skill that they added, which is the net. How to look shit up on the network and figure out. Oh, I can't recall it. I'll just look it up and I'll just Google it. So the net is another one that's kind of going on under the net and looking for stuffs. And then we've got society is another skill, which remember facts about New Angeles. This could be where you would maybe put your knowledge and learn a fact about Luna or Mars, even society related. Remember how the average loony feels about the NAPD? Know someone is trying to manipulate the stock market by short selling shares in a major company. Just those kinds of things. What are the most powerful crime organizations in the New Angeles area too? There's another one. Now to find out where those were, that would be your streetwise. If you want to do that. So then we go for the last 2 skills. They divided computers into 2 different skills, which I thought was weird at first when we talked about it previously. Mm-hmm. But then, when we talked in our hacking episode. Yeah.
But when you sit down and actually work on it, it's kind of, I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have an offensive, which is your hacking, and you have a defensive, which is your sysops. And you need to choose, if you're a runner or somebody, whether you want to be more offensively computer-minded or defensively. So that's kind of cool.
So that your computer expert isn't exactly always just the computer expert. You need to focus.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah.
This is such an aspect of the setting that you can't. If they had just left it alone, anybody could just take computers and be good at it.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So
all right. So on to the talents.
Yes.
We don't have to go over them all. Let's just talk about our favorites.
Let's.
In each tier, if you want to.
I just have
you got a tier 1 favorite, Jim?
Yeah, mine is going to be custom rig because I'm all about upgrading your system and having more stuff going on at once, especially when you got some of the bigger, larger, harder systems and you need to run multiple ICE at a time. This is what's going to make the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep.
How about you, Chris?
I don't know if I have one specific one, but I do like how they rolled getting a favor once a session into these these other talents, these like
I call them background talents.
Yeah, you're right. Something along those lines.
Yeah, they kind of do feel like background talents, like the corporate drone or disenfranchisto.
Yes, and you could spend basically, once per session, you could collect a small favor from a member of one of these talents that you choose, say a Trimov contact, right? You can get us, even if they don't owe you a small favor, you can get one from them. That's kind of cool. That was neat. How about you, Tony?
I was torn. Two of the tier 2 talents just really speak to me. Number one, I love knockout punch. Mainly because your character adds the stun quality to their brawl combat checks. With a rating equal to 2 plus your character's ranks in coordination. Another use for the coordination skill, which is awesome.
Yes. Yep.
Because that skill does not get enough love, in my opinion.
No,
I kind of love that. And the stun quality added onto brawl attacks. I love it.
Yeah, it does.
And then my other fave, hand on the throttle, because, well, I'm going to put that one on Tony 357.
There you go. Perfect.
Once per round while driving and piloting a vehicle, your character may use this talent to increase or decrease its speed by 1. It's a incidental. I love it. Now I can focus my maneuver elsewhere.
Yes, to speed up or slow down. Yeah, you know it. Without taking system strain to do it. Basically, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so we're going to pick a tier 2 one then?
Yeah, let's go into tier 2.
Maybe I do.
I'll do my tier 2 because everybody's heard me just love this thing already. Mm-hmm. Parkour.
Yeah.
Page 49. It's an active talent. It's a maneuver. Once per round, your character may suffer 1 strain to use this talent and move to any location within short range. This includes locations that are vertically distant or have no access route, but there must be an object to move across or a path to move. You can't just go through doors or walls.
Yeah. Yep.
But that gives you an idea. Why I like this so much is it almost gives me an idea of how to build some of those when I start doing it, and I'm in the future when I start building super ability talents and talents for movement in a super setting.
Mm-hmm. This is a nice framework for it.
Is a nice framework for that. That's why I love it so much.
Yep. So. How about you there, Jim? What do you think?
I'm liking a quick fix. It makes me think of the inverse of bad motivator, and just being able to, for a story point, oh, by the way, this thing I'm working on is fixed for the next couple of rounds.
Oh, that's cool, dude. I like that.
Your number of rounds equal to your ranks in mechanics, so that's pretty cool. However, at the end of it all,
it falls apart. I'm keeping it together, Jim.
I love that. You just hold the car together for 1-2 extra rounds, and we land the car, and all of a sudden,
come on, Tony. I'm holding together, Tony. Don't worry about it. Just make it around the corner. We got it, baby.
You brought to mind when I saw this. I'm thinking the Bluesmobile at the end of Blues Brothers.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I was thinking of planes, trains, and automobiles too.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't that
reminds me of several of my cars?
Awesome.
How about you, Chris? What you got tier 2?
Well, really, for any sysops, you need to choose Netrunner. Okay? Because if you successfully trace another character, you get an additional trace. And when you read the rules, the sysops are all about tracing the hackers that are doing their runs, and with this, you get a free one. You just get an additional trace. Gets you closer to knowing where they are. That one stood out to me as a must-have kind of for a kind of character.
Nice. Okay.
So tier 3.
Tier 3. I do have an audible to call. I love the fact that they added good cop and bad cop back into the game. Those are 2 of my favorite talents from Star Wars. I'm glad they're back. So, okay, tier 3.
Okay, I'm gonna go because it's one of my favorite movies with Chow Yun-Fat, John Woo movie, Hard Boiled. Okay,
it's a great film.
Isn't it,
I'm with you, brother.
And sorry, Keith, I swear to God, I didn't lose the DVD 15 years ago. Maybe I did. I don't know. Anyways, he's gonna listen to this and go, "Oh, you bastard! You just reminded me." Anyways, when your character makes a check to recover from strain at the end of the encounter, your character may make a simple resilience check instead of discipline or cool.
That's great for a Gmod.
And if your character does so, they heal 1 strain per success and 1 wound per advantage, by the way. So,
nice.
That stands out for me, man.
All right. How about you, Jim?
I'm like an Undercity Contacts improved. If either Zszree or Tony 357 had this when they were trying to locate the Warehouse of Death, that would have made it a lot easier for them.
Yeah, it would have.
Choose to spend 2 story points if you do. Your character learns a target. Yeah, that would have been really nice. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate that.
My favorite is Bad Habit. I think that is an awesomely themed talent.
Is it?
Bad Habit, active maneuver. Your character may use this talent to become disoriented for the remainder of the encounter. However, at the beginning of each of your character's turns, if they're still disoriented due to this talent, you heal 2 strain. So you got a bad habit. You get drunk during combat sessions, or maybe you're shooting ups, because that's a big thing in a cyberpunk setting, is that drugs are used by damn near everybody.
There is that.
I just like the fact I'm sitting there in the middle of a combat shooting up.
Oh, you mix that with Street Fighter, and you got Jackie Chan Drunken Master.
You damn Skippy. All right.
Yep.
That's my personal favorite.
Cool.
How about let's go into tier 4, and we'll start with you, Chris, because I know which one you're going to pick.
Well, it's elementary, Tony. My dear Tony. It really is. It's elementary.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, please tell me about it.
Mr. Holmes is picking, as an action, your character can use his talent to make a hard perception check while you're at a crime scene. If they succeed, they identify all prominent physical characteristics of one person who was at the crime scene. So I think of these shows, like that. Well, the show Elementary, for one, and then other movies and whatever, where you just kind of see them, just putting together all the pieces in a crime scene. Very thematic in my mind. This is just, it's great. My investigator at some point. What's that?
That makes me think of that game, Detroit Become Human.
I haven't played that. No.
The first scene of it, you're this android, essentially Bioroid, looking around at the crime scene. As you identify pieces of evidence, you replay and play back the scene.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
All right. For me, I have to go tier 4. I have to go with parkour improved.
Well, of course.
Because parkour can't be better. Oh, wait. That's an improved version.
Yep.
I love it. This is hardcore parkour right here.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because you take once per round when using the parkour talent, your character may suffer 4 strain instead of 1. Move to any location at medium range instead of short.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's effectively 3 range increments you just covered. That's bad ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that doesn't suck, man. That doesn't suck at all.
Yeah. All right. And Jim?
How about you, Jim?
I'm going to go with offensive driving, because when you're in a semi-truck chasing down 2 losers on hover bikes and there's a cop car in the way, and you just absolutely have to smash it into the building.
You wish you would have had this one, huh? Or your adversary. Excuse me.
That's all right. All right. So we're going into the last tier 5, where the coolest talents are. Yes. And they gave us some juicy ones in here.
Yeah, they did.
I love them all.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a favorite.
Yep. What is it, Tony?
I love talents that give you new uses for old skills. Okay. Master Plan speaks to my game style.
Okay.
It's an active action. Mm-hmm. Once per session, your character may use this talent to make a hard discipline check. If they succeed, they reveal that whatever terrible circumstances they currently find themselves in are all part of a brilliant plan they've established at an earlier point.
Nice.
They then choose one non-nemesis adversary in the encounter and reveal them to be a close friend or ally who has positioned themselves to help your character at this exact moment.
That is...
I fucking love that gives the player creative control to do that. That's just That to me, that's the best talent in the whole book.
That's right. It's like, oh, by the way, your bad guy bodyguard, we grew up together. So
yeah. Hey, walk right up to the badass, nemesis, and he's got this really bad looking bodyguard. You walk over, you shake his hand, he goes, "How's my brother been treating you?"
Yeah. Exactly.
What?
Yep. How about you, Jim? What do you think, man?
I like the concept of ricocheting your laser blasts around with Trick of the Light.
Oh, yeah.
As an incidental, with a laser or mazer weapon, you can use this talent to spend a single advantage to inflict one additional hit with this melee weapon, dealing base damage plus your total number of successes to either the original target or another target within short range of the original.
Damn!
Wow.
Ouch.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool.
How about you, Chris?
The one that I pick is scary, could be scary fun. And that's Ghost in the Machine. It's an active action. This could be scary, especially if you have cybernetics. Mm-hmm. Because you can make a hard computer's hacking check. You could select a drone. If you succeed, you could select a drone, a vehicle, or a piece of equipment involved in the current encounter to dictate its actions. Alternatively, your character can select someone with cybernetic implants, or who's wearing powered armor. Now, exosuit. Oh, by the way, why don't you turn and shoot your buddy for me? That could be scary, nice. Man. Or if somebody has cyber eyes, you could totally hack him and just blind him, or make them see something you don't want them to see. I don't know. You could kind of really think of some crazy shit.
That guy wearing power armor, it suddenly takes off and kidnaps the president. Oh, there we go. There's a plot point from Iron Man 3. Boom.
There you go. There you go.
I was thinking Iron Man 2, where the armor twists itself around, breaking the spine of the guy in the suit.
Oh.
See? Scary fun. Thank you, Jim, for bringing us to a whole new scary level for us.
Spine tingling, so to speak.
Yeah, spine tingling fun. Yes.
All right.
All right.
So then we have this cool new mechanic that they've added to the game in the next section here. And I just want to say the favors mechanic, we're going to go over in its whole. We're going to give it a whole show just for that. So we're gonna skip it for today, but I really love it. I just want to let you know.
It's just another kind of currency that you could use, and it's definitely add some role playing hooks, adventure hooks. This is basically your built-in adventure hook for the GM.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really
as good as Obligation, if not better.
Yeah, really, it is. Of obligation, duty, and morality, I liked Obligation. I like Obligation the best, and this is definitely up there with that. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely.
So, yeah, we definitely will cover that in another show, because it feels worthy of a whole show topic.
Yeah, it does. Yes, it does.
All right, so we're moving on to gear.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, this is my least favorite section, just due to the anticlimactic nature of it.
The thin nature of it, you mean?
It's not enough pages.
Not enough pages.
I do have some favorite pieces throughout the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple too. I picked out a couple of favorites too, I think.
No, we start off with our our weapons, our ranged weapons particularly, and again, awesome art.
Yeah.
I like the sidebar on page 84 about restricted items. Much better at letting you know, black market and how to use it and where to get stuff.
Yep.
But so you got a favorite there, Chris? Go ahead, start.
You know what? I think what's really cool to me, and it kind of takes it. It really makes it feel like, oh, I'm playing something in the future. It's a modern futuristic setting, It's the riot shields, man, on page 95. Because when these cops have these riot shields, they actually have a camera on the outside of them, and they can have a full shield up, and they can see like a digital display on the inside of the riot shields in there.
Oh, that's cool.
There's a radar display, light amplified. They could throw a spotlight down on people in front of them, but they could see kind of what's going on just seeing the display on the inside. They require one hand to use. You can have a ranged light weapon in your other hand. Gives you a defense rating. And basically, yeah, I mean, you could shine that spotlight and it'll remove 2 setback die for darkness when you're doing that, when you want to control these riots in the streets down in the Undercity somewhere. So that display, that internal display looking inside of the shield, just felt, oh, it's modern, but it's not. It's a little futuristic. Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
How about you, Jim?
I've got 2. I like the Chrome Crushers. Nothing says fun like boxing gloves designed to pummel robots to death.
The Biroids, yep. The Chrome Crushers.
And the Charged Crystal Katana. I like how once it's charged up, the blade itself is virtually indestructible. You can deflect bullets and whatnot with it. That's why you target the hilt at a couple setback.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
With an audible of the monoblade, if you want a monoblade katana, the core rulebook has the stats for monoblade katana.
Right.
The core rulebook does? It's not, well, oh, there's a monoblade in here. Oh, it's different then, huh?
Yes, this is the monoblade knife.
dagger.
Oh, this is monoblade dagger. Gotcha.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah, I noticed that too when I was statting a certain character.
One thing I before I forget, one thing, read the flavor text on all these weapons whenever you try to choose one. Because there are some little nuggets in here, like the Charged Crystal Katana, very last paragraph. It's not up in the table, but although a Charged Crystal Katana requires only one hand to wield, while wielding it with both hands, you get the Vicious 2 quality. So there might be something in the flavor text, an ability, a mechanical thing you might get, that might not be up in the table there. So read through them all when you're looking. Sorry, Tony.
No, I was just going to point that out.
Oh, were you?
That you noticed it and you pointed it out, and I hadn't noticed that. So, excellent.
Yeah.
Me, I love all. Again, I just like them themselves. All the mass drivers, every single one of them. The guns.
Yeah.
The auto Fletcher, the Fletcher pistol, and the Gauss rifle. Wow, those are awesome. They speak to me on a personal level because I think mass drivers are awesome.
Do you need to take the book to another room there, Tony?
they speak to me on a personal level. I love mass drivers. I love the technology behind it.
Cool.
But all right,
very cool.
And then if I had to go with another cool piece of gear, I like the BMI. It's just to read it. A BMI typically uses a flexible net-like sheath full of neural receptors that bridges the user's neurons with electrical connections. In short, it lets runners make deep runs into the network with full sensory immersion. A BMI is not a computer, but it may be connected to a computer. While using a BMI during a network encounter, a runner can choose to go deep as an incidental. Until they go shallow as a maneuver, they may only interact with the network. And that's that whole deep dive into the internet. I like that it's a little handheld thing you can attach to any computer.
Yep. And it's a brain-machine interface, is BMI.
Yes, brain-machine interface.
It's not body mass index. Okay, it's brain.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that, okay?
I was about to say, I've got a nice big BMI.
This makes me think of Avatar, where you take your USB stick on your hair and plug it into the creature you're riding.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is also, so here's a question for you. Did Johnny Mnemonic have a Skulljack or a BMI?
Oh, yeah, the Skulljack.
He had a skulljack. Okay, because that was my other gear piece. Because nothing says the skulljack too. Nothing says cyberpunk like a skulljack to me. Because it's shiny mnemonic, right? I mean, that's just a, Yep. And of course,
I like it.
Cybernetic section, but.
And I love their drugs that they have in here. They're all unique. The way they...
The happy drug? There's like a happy patch or something?
Yes, the happy patch. Happy patches are cheap dermal patches filled with a street drug called Pixel. They're created by the millions in the Undercity and sold at its poorest residents. The drugs leave the user hazy, relaxing high with just a hint of harsh chemical buzz. After using a happy patch, your character heals 3 strain, but is disoriented for the remainder of the encounter.
That's great.
Now, if you had the talent bad habit and your bad habit is happy patches, you're double disoriented. Great.
But you're getting back 2 strain every round, right?
And 3 is minute you take the happy patch.
Exactly.
I could see a wristy making a wristy that's totally like a drug addict.
Yeah. Happy patches
going
with
into social encounters, popping happy patches.
That's right, with his like mini zoo, with his little mini zoo in front of him. He's got a miniature giraffe, a little miniature elephant, whatever.
Pocket rhinoceros.
Pocket rhinoceros. That's right. Is that? Are you happy to see me, or do you have a pocket rhinoceros in your pocket?
Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
A stunning omission. No monofilament wire weapons at all, except for the monofilament grenade. I'm sorry, and the monoblade.
The monoblade.
Like, there's like no mono snake. That cyber snake, that's quintessential. You pull your finger and you get that monofilament.
Oh yeah.
From nothing like that. Those things were always overpowered in other cyberpunk type games like Shadowrun or Cyberpunk 2020. They're always overpowered. Yeah. So I'm glad they kind of glad they omitted the cyber snake.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, no, there's some good gear in here.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. Let's see.
All right.
So what else do we have here? I mean, that was kind of all the faves that we've had, huh?
We have flying cars coming up.
Oh, yeah, we kind of do. We have hoppers.
Yeah. No, flying cars. And hopper bikes.
Hopper bikes, flying cars.
Yeah.
And
no, some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Spacecraft.
Yep. Yeah, if you want to take your adventure out of this world, man.
Yeah, this is Chris' framework for starting building the Expanse when it starts doing that. That's going to be fun.
Reading this, it's like, oh, well, will I be able to do the and I'm like reading like how like the bean pods come down and how they would come to Earth, and we saw one of the in the Expanse, one of the first or second season, that jump ship came down, but they got jump ships in here. I mean, or drop ships. I mean, so it could be pretty cool. Could be very cool. So, is that it for the books of Genesis here?
Yeah.
All right.
That's it for the books of Genesis. I think we've got like the rest is all fluff, other than the networking section. But
yeah, but
go on to the next section.
Overall, yeah, this is a great book.
Yeah, there will be more to talk about for sure. Chris and I are probably going to do a whole show on the favor system, the favor system.
The favors. Yeah.
The factions. We'll probably do another hacking 102 show with all the hacking rules that they've added here.
Yep.
And then we'll probably be adding in this book into our fluff section for setting the tone when we start doing that.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. There was one thing that I wanted to mention. I have a couple notes. Some of the things that I really liked as well. Let's see. Talked about okay. So one thing. So page 166, kick-ass picture of Blue Sun Stadium.
Oh yeah.
So this stadium is so friggin' big, it can host a professional baseball game and a professional American football game at the same time. Which gives you the size of this thing. Plus, they mentioned something about Hollow War. The fuck is Hollow War, man? They could set up obstacles and stuff inside of this thing so that you could play this Hollow War.
It sounds like a badass version of American Gladiators.
Yeah. Yep.
Use holographic projections to, play paintball, basically?
Yeah, basically, that's what that is. And then, cool. So there's a couple of points of interest that really, interested me.
Shoot, dude.
One is called, and the acronym is PELE, Personal Efficiency and Logistics Experts, on page 181. So it's a research facility that has a mandate and secretive clientele, but it's actually a business of illegally manufactured, untraceable high-tech weapons. Now, how they made the connection of doing like a Pele and high-tech illegal weapons, I don't know, but it just spoke to me a little bit.
Okay.
And then there was this thing, page 188. Love the name. And I think that if I'd ever open up like a paintball place or whatever, I would name it Danger Close. Page 188.
Nice.
It's a Wargamer Hollow War thing. But
it tells you all about what Hollow War is in there.
Exactly. However, towards the bottom, it says some officials have never really been they've never really officially reported any fatalities. However, there's leaked purchase orders reveal that Danger Close has made some bulk clone purchases from Jinteki before private events. What?
Nice.
Now that little nugget right there just gives you oh shit. These guys buy clones to frickin' do some like serious like killing and whatever. And like I said, all throughout chapter 4, that 76 pages, there are small little nuggets like that all throughout. And that's one of the things I really love about this book. To end that section, that's basically one of the last things I had to say. Just these little nuggets that they throw in there. Gets my mind racing, man.
Oh, yeah. Alrighty then.
All right. Go to the next section.
Yeah, let's go on to the next part of our show, because otherwise we'll be talking all night.
Which we can. Which we have been. Holy crap, dude, we're taking a long time.
Okay, so welcome to Setting the Tone. This is where we normally talk about, we choose a section of one of the books of Android, just kidding, books of Genesys, and we go through some of the fluffy parts. But I kind of wanted to talk and I called an audible ahead of time with our show notes. I kind of wanted to talk about the available fiction to get you in the mood for an Android game. Mm-hmm. Whether it be in the format of books or movies or TV shows. Let's kind of talk about some of it, some of the influences for you. And I have recommended to other players before what I call the 4 pillars of cyberpunk fiction. They began with Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which is the book that Blade Runner was based on, by Philip K. Dick. Great book. A lot of these older books are hard to read because they're an older writing style, written in the early 80s. And then there's Hardwired, another one, and that was written by Walter John Williams, and that's another one that kind of has that courier. It's about a rocket boy, and he's driving all the time. He flies a Panzer, which is a
awesome.
Yeah, I mean
tank.
It's a really good book. Yes, exactly. Neuromancer, which is famous, of William Gibson. And it's part of a trilogy, which, there's Count Zero, and the last one is Mona Lisa Overdrive. Those are all part of that trilogy. Those are all good. Those deal definitely more with the cyberware, or excuse me, the network and cyber crime and such. And those are good. And then the last, I think, probably the best one in the whole genre, as far as single books. Pick it up, you'll read it cover to cover. Just the names of the characters, the story. You have Snow Crash.
I love that book so much.
It's Neil Stephenson wrote it, and it was written back in like the early 90s. The main character is hero protagonist, and he is a pizza deliverator. And he's a pizza delivery guy / assassin, and that is amazing. And just the whole story, probably one of my favorite stories of all time. Definitely recommend you read that. Other newer stuff, there's for me, there's a trilogy called the Parish Plessis trilogy, or the Nylon Angel. They're by Marianne DePierre, and she is Australian. So it's cyberpunk, but it's set in Australia, where this melting pot of cultures. So it's really good to get for us Americans. It helps kind of give you an idea of what cyberpunk would be like in another country. And, they have like voodoo and shit in it by the old Aboriginal voodoo and stuff like that. And really cool. Great series. And then lastly, for the Gmod fans out there, the Moreau Quartet by S. Andrew Swan, which takes it's a cyberpunk type world, cyberpunk type setting, but they have two different genetically altered races, so to speak. They have the Moreaus, which are bipedal animals for you furry lovers, and the main character is Nohar Rajasthan, who is a tiger private detective. And then, so it has that kind of that dark, gritty detective feel at the beginning of the very first novel. And then there's also the Franks, which are Frankensteins, which are genetically built or engineered humans that they're just bigger, badder humans. So, and the whole series is pretty good. Takes more of a sci-fi bent when it goes aliens and space and whatnot, but it's kind of cool.
Cool.
So that, for me, I started with the books, and of course you go into a bunch of movies, and we can list a bunch of those. But what you got, Chris?
Well, it's out in theaters right now. It's called Alita Battle Angel. When I watch it, I'm like, oh shit, I'm watching Android right now. Swear to God, it was so cool. Some of the colors, some of the lights in it, cybernetic bounty hunters, cyborg bounty hunters. Very cool. Definitely wanted to play this when the movie was done.
And that's also an anime, and there's a bunch of manga comics for it too.
Okay, yeah, and you even saw a few other movies were made of it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, another one which is on Netflix called Altered Carbon. They got the first season out. Came out about a year ago. It's definitely a mature audience one because
a lot of sex in it.
A lot of sex in it, and but the concept that they had about having a stack that holds your consciousness and being and whatever that you could transport between clone bodies. Mm-hmm. It just sets up a really interesting story, and I won't I won't ruin anything there. And then
you could totally add that element to your Android game easily.
Absolutely. And then I was looking at on Amazon Video a couple weeks ago and saw a movie called 2047 Virtual Revolution. It's a low-budget flick on Amazon Prime, and I loved it.
It's got a really good story. I don't care about the low budget. The story's amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was great. It was like, and I'm like, oh, I want to play an investigator. Because this guy's, I mean, that was basically between Alita Battle Angel and that movie, and then Virtual Revolution, mash them together, and I have my cyborg investigator for your short little mini campaign there, Tony. So,
cool.
Yep.
How about you, Jim? You got anything you want to add?
Yeah.
Well, I'm also a fan of the William Gibson. I liked the short story Johnny Mnemonic that obviously got turned into a movie, as well as the novel Virtual Light.
Oh, that's great.
Sweet.
For the courier aspect, the game Mirror's Edge does a good job of that, especially with the parkour.
Say that one more time.
About Mirror's Edge.
I think I might have coughed in your face. Sorry. Say that one more time. Mirror's Edge.
Yeah, Mirror's Edge is for the courier aspect and parkour.
Cool. Ooh.
For the Gmods, that old cartoon Gargoyles, where the Fox Force 5 got themselves upgraded.
Yeah, I remember that.
Awesome. Nice.
Awesome.
And, and of course you have your standard. Everybody knows about Blade Runner, the movie. Everybody knows about Ghost in the Shell. I mean, pretty much all of us have seen Akira, Ghost in the Shell. Those are staples of the cyberpunk genre. There's lots of them. Get out there, Wikipedia, the cyberpunk genre. You'll find some really cool stuff, niche stuff that puts you in the mood for playing and running an Android game.
By the way, I just ordered Snow Crash on Amazon. It'll be showing up in 2 days.
Dude, you're going to love it. It's amazing. And also, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
Another movie that most people wouldn't immediately associate with an Android type or cyberpunk, iRobot, especially from the investigator perspective.
Yes.
Very well.
Oh, it's very good.
Very good.
Isaac Asimov. Great book, too, by the way. And honestly, Netflix is a great place if you're looking for free stuff. There's a movie on there called Mute, which is another cyberpunk style, gritty. This guy is a mute Amishman in the future, and he's kind of disconnected from all the technology, but you see it all around him.
Okay.
And
interesting.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Anon was another one.
Anon, yeah,
that was another one. Yep, that was just recently came out. Surrogates.
Oh,
with
Surrogates is a classic,
man. Yeah.
Another one I was wanting to mention was that Fantasy Flight actually does several pieces of Android fiction. There are Android novels out there, and I'll tell you, the ones that were done by Mel Odom, the trilogy, Gollum, and I can't remember the other two, but they are really good. You can get them in digital format a lot easier than you can get them in paperback.
Gollum, Mimic, and Rebel.
Yes, Mel Odom is one hell of an author. I've read a lot of his books over the years, and he just tells a very organic, easy to fall into story.
Yeah, I bought those, and I bought Freefall and Strange Flesh. Those are out on Drive-Thru RPG, actually.
And they've got 2 small novellas that they've recently done. I have both of them hardcover, Undercity and it's the other one. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it's behind me somewhere. But it's neither here nor there.
It's there, dude. It's behind you.
But anyhow,
cool.
Just folks, go out there, read cyberpunk fiction before you play Android, because you're going to love it. It'll put you in the mood.
Well, and of course, the Worlds of Android book itself. That'll really set up that's the fleshy bits for Android,
all of them.
basically. Yeah, all the fleshy bits.
Hey, The Expanse is too. Expanse is a good hard sci-fi.
Yeah, it is.
If you really want to get into the moon and the lunar, if you were going to run an entire Looney campaign or a Mars campaign, totally
belt,
do.
and then you got the belters too. So in here, there's precedent for them going to the belt too. I mean,
yep.
There we go. There's a good one. Okay, dude, are we ready to
staying in? You're not going to mute. You're not going to delete that one.
I'm not going to mute. Nah, that's staying in there, man.
Excellent.
It's
Let's do some advantageous threats.
From lunch, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Yes, advantageous threats.
Well, you talk about your air fryer all the time. You might as well give everybody the sound effects of your air fryer coming back.
Well, there are other sound effects that we don't worry about.
Well, you can spare us those, honestly.
Okay, next section of the show. All right, everybody, we are going to do some advantageous threats. And you know what? Our guest, Mr. Jimmifett, is going to go first.
How advantageous.
Yes.
Indeed.
Though I did have an
so-
advantageous to spare the other night. But we'll talk about that some other night.
All right, so our character today is Zszree. She's a natural tech. She is on the run on the Challenger planetoid. She just stole the schematics for the latest piece of upcoming power armor.
Ooh.
Nice.
She's making a break for a drop pod emergency escape pod.
Okay.
She manages to dive in.
Mm-hmm.
There's lasers being fired behind her that smash on equipment inside the pod. She smashes the go button, and the pod drops. Unfortunately, those chasing her manage to score a critical hit on the pod itself, disabling the propulsion system.
Uh-oh.
So she's in free fall and has less than 12 minutes to fix the propulsion before her drop pod smashes into the ground below.
Alrighty then.
She's Intelligence 4 with Mechanics 3.
Okay.
And has Knack for it on her side.
Okay.
I'm automatically going to upgrade the check once. Fixing a crit for this is 2 difficulty.
Okay.
So right off the bat, because she's in free fall, that's going to be a single red added onto that. So 1 purple, 1 red.
Okay.
I'm also going to throw her at least 1 setback die, perhaps a second, because all she has with her, she doesn't have any tools to repair this. She's got some bubble gum, some
Hairpins,
and the underwire of her bra. She does, however, have an emergency repair patch that she keeps hidden on herself.
All right. Well, that sounds cool. So we're talking an average difficulty, upgraded once because you're in free fall. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking because it is, and maybe that's because of the whole free fall thing, that the time that she has would make this harder as well. Or is that the upgrade that you were thinking? Because of the time, or just the fact that it's free falling?
It's a combination of the time for the free as well as the free falling. However, with the free falling, or maybe possibly this time constraint on it, that could be some setback for her.
Yeah. I would either say setback or even make it a hard difficulty. Add a purple.
I like a hard difficulty. That's
You like the hard? Okay.
He likes it hard.
Maybe, is there lighting? Now when it hit the crit, did the lighting go out in this? Does she have light? If not, that would be 2 setbacks.
Let's say the light's flickering.
Lights flickering. If the lights are flickering, then maybe a setback die for that.
Alrighty.
How about you, Tony? Any other things that we could mess with this character on? What do you think?
Is she used to gravity? 0 gravity or low gravity?
She is not.
Let's throw in another setback die for that.
Are you looking at the 0G rules, Tony?
Yeah, I am.
On page 110 of the Genesis core rulebook?
I am, as a matter of fact, yes.
Jim mentioned that earlier when we were on a break.
Yep. 0 gravity, on the other hand, does not grant any boost or setback dice to skill checks because of moving in 0 gravity. However, characters who are unfamiliar with it may get them. So
okay, I'm liking that. That's cool.
Now, her emergency repair patch does give her a single boost die.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Well, what kind of a pool are we looking at there, Dungeon?
All right, so I'm looking at 3 yellows and a green, a single boost, 2 purples and a red, and 2 blacks.
That you get to remove. Or those after all those. Because you said you had to knack for it, right?
Yes, I would get to remove those from knack for it.
Cool. Well, because this is your first time on Advantageous Threats, I think a story point might be in order from the 2 GMs here.
Oh,
Damn,
absolutely.
Skippy.
Welcome to the show. Right? All right.
All right, roll that beautiful bean footage.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if she's street pizza or she survives. Ooh.
Oh,
Okay.
that doesn't sound good.
All right, 1, 2, 3. 3.
Too many dice. He hasn't rolled actual dice in so long. It's always
know.
virtual dice.
Yeah, do you
Okay. She manages by, I don't know how she does it, but she pulls it off with a single success and 2 advantage.
Oh, nice.
Well done, sir.
So as the drop pod is descending,
Yeah.
she's got about 500 feet left when she finally makes the last connection. The thrusters boost in, and she doesn't have a smooth landing, but she managed to have a soft enough touchdown in the ocean landing.
Oh, nice.
Anything you can walk away from.
There is that. Nice. I like that. I like it. All right, Tony, you want to go next? Or you want me to go?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Well, my character in this android setting is a loony courier named Johnny Hazelwonder. And he's trying to outrun his pursuers as a wheelman on a quote-unquote job using his luxury hopper. So he's got a 4 agility, he's got a 2 in piloting. This hopper has a speed of 3 and a handling of 1. He's also got a knack for it, and he took one of Tony's favorite talents, hand on the throttle.
Nice.
So, and what Johnny's going to do, he's actually going to take the dangerous driving action, which is on page 227/228 of the Cord Rulebook, and he's going to use the hand on the throttle incidental to push his speed to a 4. So, it's going to be a daunting difficulty, upgraded once. So, because of the 4 speed and the silhouette of his hopper divided in 2, that gives him a 1 red, 3 purple difficulty piloting check. And then he's going to have 2 yellow, 2 green, and a blue at this point.
Nice.
He's kind of flying through, trying to outrun somebody. So, what else do you want to do for me? What do you guys think? Hazardous terrain is on page 227, if you wanted to look at that.
Yeah.
Since he's flying through maybe the Undercity, maybe? Or maybe he's probably flying through the Undercity. Get away from peeps.
Well, what section of the city is he in again?
I was thinking somewhere in the Undercity.
Okay, well, not the Undercity is pervasive throughout
I'm not sure what
large
section.
swaths of the city. Let's say in this particular portion of the Undercity, there are huge pylons for a raised highway that you're flying through.
Okay.
So you have obstacles.
Nice.
And I'm going to flip story point for them and upgrade.
Okay. Oh, nice. Alrighty then. We will do that. Did you want to give me some setback dice because of those obstacles too?
I was going to leave the setback dice to Jim.
I'm going to add setback dice because as you're terracing through the Undercity, through these pylons,
Yep.
The little old lady with the cart full of groceries is crossing the street.
Okay then.
And one of her many cats jumps off the cart, and she's bending over to pick it up, not seeing you in the way, heading towards her. So it's up to you to dodge around and not hit the little old lady.
So a couple of setback then?
Absolutely. 2 setbacks.
All right. So
She's yelling the cat's name as she's chasing after it. Mr. Mittens! Mittens.
Mr. Mittens. Okay, so I do have the knack for it, so I get to remove 2 setback dice. Now, everybody out there listening to these, if you're a GM, give your players setback dice so they can remove them with the talents they spend their XP on. Just to let you know, don't be afraid to do it, and don't be upset that they do remove it because of it. Because it's part of the game.
One more thing either way.
That's what talents are there for. Yeah, man.
We'll throw one more thing.
Yes.
Not everything that she has is a cat. One of them is a teacup giraffe.
Oh, well, he is always... I'm thinking Johnny Hazelwonder always wanted a teacup giraffe, and that's going to give him another setback die, because precious little teacup giraffe. All right, here we go.
Now, she still thinks it's a cat.
Awesome. All right, here we go. Rolling it on the Android book, everybody. Uh-oh. Yeah. Well, I failed. Holy crap. Complete wash. 4 successes, 4 failures. Oh, no. 2 successes, 2 failures, 4 advantage, 4 threat. All washed. Just to let you know.
So are we talking a teacup giraffe in the headlights kind of thing?
Pretty sure we might be. Or at least a broken headlight and a what do you call it?
That'd be a minor
grocery
collision.
cart. A minor collision, probably the grocery cart got smashed.
Either that or trying to avoid the animals you scrape one of the pylons.
Yeah. Oh, the paint job on my luxury hopper. No. All right, man. What you got for us, Tony?
All right. So my character, Cherry Blowpop, is back. And back when I first told you about her, I told you she was a street samurai. Well, she's telling people she's a street samurai. Really, she's a Gmod con artist.
Awesome.
And she is trying to infiltrate a Yakuza stronghold with a disguise. My GM has decided to uncouple my stealth from agility, and so I'm rolling it with cunning.
Well done.
To make this disguise my reason for sneaking by. So, a stealth plus cunning for her is 1 yellow, 3 green, 4 cunning, and 1 rank in it.
Okay.
Versus the highest vigilance in the stronghold, which is a surveillance AI with 2 red.
Ooh.
She has a disguise kit, so she has the right tool for the job.
Mm-hmm.
She has a chameleon skin, Gmod, which for 1 strain, she gets an auto success on stealth checks.
Nice.
And so she's going to be using that. And she has follicle control. Now, that doesn't necessarily tell you that she... it's a Gmod. It doesn't say in there that it has any mechanics, but I would try and say, hey, GM, I've got this follicle control. I could have grown my hair in advance to a specific length to match and color to match my disguise.
Okay.
So it's really long bangs that hide my face. And
cool.
So on and so forth. So I'm asking for 1 or 2 boost dice for my follicle control. What do you think?
I'd give you at least a boost die for that. Most definitely. Yeah. And then your disguise kit gives you 1.
And the disguise kit gives me 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm looking at a 3 green, 1 yellow for my 2 red, 2 blue pool.
Alrighty then. Is this like at night or something? What it is an AI, a surveillance AI though. It wouldn't matter.
Whether time of day doesn't really matter. You think maybe a setback die due to the sheer number of cameras that the AI has, various vantage points, and infallible memory?
Mm-hmm. And then would they have like heat control, like seeing if maybe you're nervous or anything like that? Is it that sophisticated to give
Possibly.
like extra possible?
Yeah,
maybe that's because it's 2 red. Yeah, take a couple of setback dice because of the number of cameras that are on you. Have you ever been here before?
No.
You haven't. Okay.
I'm going to throw an additional setback your way. One of the people there, one of the Risties, has their little chihuahua that you abducted and extorted for money in the past, and it recognizes your scent and starts yapping at you.
Okay. Nice.
Well done.
All right. Well, I have built into her, and I actually did build her, and I sent her to Chris. She does have a knack for it, and stealth is what she has a knack for. So we're going to remove 2 of those setback dice, leaving me right now with 3 green, 1 yellow, 2 blue, 2 red, and a black.
That works for me. I'm good with that. Do we want to story point it? Yeah, let's flip a story point here, because it's the Yakuza, and don't despair it.
All right, here we go.
Cherry Blow Pop.
All right, well, your story point, the purple die, had no effect. Okay. And the single setback die from the Chihuahua was balanced out by my advantage.
Cool.
Leaving me with...
Don't forget to add an auto success for your community.
Yep, I have an auto success for the... All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes. 1, 2 failures. So 3 net successes. That's it. Everything balanced out otherwise. Cool. 3 net successes. So with 3 successes, she sees the Chihuahua in the Ristie's hands, purposefully avoids it, goes as far around it as possible. Yeah. In the process of doing so, it helps her blend in a little more. She can stop, grab a drink off of a passing tray,
take a quick swig,
and sneak past all security to get to the meat of the stronghold in the back.
Nice. Well done, Cherry Blow Pop. Hooty-hoo.
She'll be back.
Yes, she will. Because that's the best.
I statted her out now.
That's the best name ever, and you statted her out. I'll have to stat out Johnny Hazelwonder.
All right.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, are we ready to go home and put this thing to bed?
We got to send Jim home to his wife, or she's going to beat our asses.
Yeah, her motherfucking majesty will totally kick her ass. All right, everybody. Well, hey, that was our show for tonight. Let me give a quick shout out to the Wild Die podcast, which is dedicated to Pinnacle Entertainment's Savage Worlds, done by Eric Lamoureux, Gary McCullum, and Harrison Hunt. There,
also known as the Darksiders.
The Darksiders, excellent. I think they have a Patreon. They have a MeWe page. They're proud Nerds International members. They're on Podbean at The Wild Die, and they're on Gmail at thewilddie@gmail.com. So, Jim, it was a pleasure having you on tonight, buddy. Appreciate you talking Android with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yep.
Yes, thanks for coming on, and again, thanks for running us through what you've been running us through. We're loving it. With the unfortunately, folks, I don't know if we said something in our last show, but the recording for the last attempt at Android Online didn't quite happen because we had a technical glitch. So unfortunately, we weren't able to put that up on YouTube, but we do plan on playing again in the future.
Oh yeah.
And I think we're going to do a synopsis beforehand.
We'll have a synopsis video going out.
Oh yeah, that'll be great.
But thanks for coming on, Jim.
Yeah, man.
No problem.
Anything else you wanna say? Pimp your show.
You can find me on YouTube and Twitch under Jimmifett, Jimmiffett.
Okay.
All right. Anything more we want to say about Android before we say goodnight?
I'm planning on playing more of it, and I've got a campaign coming up. I love it.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'll run it for my Saturday night group at some point.
All right. So, folks, you can email us reach back, tell us we did a great job, did a crap job, whatever you want to tell us. You can do that via findingthenarrativepodcast@gmail.com. Email us there. You can contact me on Facebook, and I will share that with Chris.
Yep.
You can. This is the last month that you can get a hold of us on G+. No one's over there, but we'll still get a notification until it dies.
Yep.
We are on MeWe in the Nerds-International Network. And tell your friends and folks about listening to us on Podbean, iTunes. We have a YouTube channel. We're on Google Play.
Yep.
That being said, this is Tony saying, keep rolling them bones.
And this is Chris saying, remember the rule of cool and just have fun, everybody.
And this is Jim saying, the dial for your game should start at 11 and go up from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Night, everybody.
See ya.
Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast, is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned in this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast. Copyright 2019, all rights reserved.